The iPhone XR was not only one of the most successful iPhones ever, but it also paved the way for Apple's iPhone lineup strategy they've used ever since. And in this video, we're going to talk about the iPhone XR's specifications and features and how it compares to the latest iPhone 16. We'll take some photos and videos with it, talk about its history a little bit, and overall see how the XR holds up in 2025. So the XR features a 6.1-inch display, aluminum sides, and a glass back, which is the same basic design formula as the latest iPhone 16. However, there's quite a lot of design differences in comparison to the latest iPhone 16, such as noticeably thicker bezels, the more rounded edges instead of the flatter edges, and the glossy, reflective back glass instead of the matte textured back glass. The XR features an LCD display, it's got a peak brightness of 625 nits and a maximum 60 Hz display refresh rate, and it's fine. It certainly isn't impressive on paper by any means, but pretty much nobody outside the tech community has ever complained about the XR's display quality. As much as it would be nice to have an OLED display instead, which is the superior display tech in comparison to the LCD display tech the XR has, as OLED displays better contrast ratios and can display true black levels, I think the actually more noticeable difference between the XR's display and the latest iPhone 16's display are the brightness levels. The XR's brightness, again, capping out at 625 nits, where the iPhone 16 can get all the way up to 1000 nits in typical situations, and all the way up to 2000 nits when outdoors. This will be most noticeable when you're outside in direct sunlight. The latest iPhones do get noticeably brighter than older ones like the XR here when outdoors. And in terms of the maximum 60 Hz display refresh rate, you're not missing anything there, as even the latest standard tier iPhone 16 still has a maximum 60 Hz display refresh rate. Still, only the Pro tier iPhones get 120 Hz ProMotion displays. All things considered, the XR's display is totally enough for most users, despite the fact that a handful of people in the tech community made quite the ordeal that the display has a pretty low 326 pixels per inch. However, as this iPhone's insane popularity proved, the general population at the time, and honestly still today, didn't notice or care about having a slightly less capable display. So the XR was actually one of Apple's earliest full-screen, non-home button iPhones, with thin bezels all around in comparison to the older design and gesture-based controls. It launched alongside the higher-end iPhone XS series iPhones. This lineup method of releasing a cheaper, less premium iPhone with enough features and tech for most people alongside a more high-end offering is what Apple still does today with their standard line and Pro line of iPhones. And I definitely think the XR's immense success as a cheaper and less premium but still feature-packed iPhone played a big role in Apple discovering this as a viable lineup strategy. And guys, the older I get, the more I realize the importance of getting a comfortable and solid night's sleep so I can show up rested and refreshed the following day. And that's where today's sponsor, NOLA Mattress, comes in. NOLA is a premium fiberglass-free mattress designed to upgrade your sleep quality, and it's conveniently shipped to your door for free within the United States. When I'm looking for a new mattress, I look for a few things, the first of which being a soft but still supportive feel, which is why I went for the Evolution Luxury Firm mattress for my twin-size frame, which strikes a perfect balance between comfort and support. As someone who oscillates between sleeping on my back and sleeping on my side, it's great for me, as it's specifically designed to suit side, back, and combination sleepers alike. Another attribute I look for in a mattress is easy portability and movability, and the NOLA Evolution mattress has two handles on each side. And I cannot stress enough how nice of a feature this is, as someone who struggled moving mini handleless mattresses up flights of stairs in the past. And thanks to its 7-layer design, the NOLA Evolution mattress features active cooling, which helps dissipate excess heat and maximizes airflow, letting body heat out and cool, refreshing air in, which helps me fall asleep faster and sleep more soundly. The mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up. Having something as large as a mattress shipped right to your door versus having to go pick it up in store is very convenient. And unlike other mattress brands, NOLA mattresses do not contain fiberglass and are also created without the use of harmful chemicals, so you can sleep safely. NOLA mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their Arizona factory. They do their own coiling, foam pouring, foam cutting, lamination, and sewing in-house, ensuring quality at every step. And if it makes you nervous to buy something you haven't tried, thankfully NOLA has a 120-night sleep trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it. In addition to the fact that NOLA mattresses have a limited lifetime warranty, and they also offer financing options and flexible payment plans. If you're looking to upgrade your sleep, head to nolamattress.com nola.com/ultimateidevice and use code ultimateidevice to get $50 off your Nola mattress plus 2 free pillows with select mattresses. Big thanks to Nola Mattress for sponsoring this video. So the XR has a single 12 megapixel main lens on the back, and a 7 megapixel front-facing camera as well. The XR, simply put, has just the basics in terms of camera quality and camera options. But even compared to the latest iPhone 16, for the types of basic photos you'll probably be taking the most of, it holds up quite well. We've reached a point with iPhones throughout the past 6 years or so where you won't really notice big jumps in quality for typical point-and-shoot situations on any semi-recent iPhone generation. Now, of course, since we don't get Apple's latest 48 megapixel main camera lens on the XR here that the latest couple generations of the iPhone have, if you zoom in super up close on a photo you've taken, you'll notice less detail and sharpness in comparison to the latest iPhone 16. But it's not a difference that'll jump out at you when just casually looking at photos. And also, of course, the XR here is unable to take 0.5 times ultra-wide shots as it lacks the additional lens to do so. And it's also unable to get any optical zoom. You can, however, get a maximum digital zoom of 5 times for photos, where the latest iPhone 16, on the other hand, has a maximum digital zoom of 10 times for photos. The XR's 7 megapixel front-facing camera is okay. The latest iPhone 16's 12 megapixel front-facing camera, of course, does have noticeably more detail and sharpness. Unfortunately, the iPhone XR was the very last iPhone to feature a 7 megapixel front camera, as the iPhone 11 and up all have 12 megapixel front cameras. Here's some 4K 60 frames per second video shot on the iPhone XR and on the latest iPhone 16 as well. And here's some video shot with the front-facing camera as well. The maximum quality that the front-facing camera can get on the XR is 1080p at 60 frames per second, where on the iPhone 16 it's 4K at 60 frames per second. So as you'd expect with an almost 7-year-old iPhone, you do miss out on quite a lot of Apple's latest camera enhancements and features, such as features like night mode, macro photography and photographic styles, and Apple's latest image processing systems. But for an almost 7-year-old single 12 megapixel setup, this is pretty impressive and again covers the basics. The XR is powered by the A12 chip with 3 gigs of RAM, and this being the lowest spec iPhone that still runs the latest iOS 18, it's of course not going to be the fastest iPhone out there, but it's 100% usable. The days of having an older iPhone be super sluggish and slow to the point of wanting to upgrade your iPhone for the reason of speed alone are pretty much behind us. Even Apple Silicon from 7 years ago still has enough base power for typical usage in 2025 on the latest iOS versions. The bigger factor of concern with iPhones that have older chipsets is the limited amount of remaining years for major iOS update support. The XR is already on its 7th major iOS version with iOS 18, which is already a pretty impressively long lifespan, and given Apple's patterns as of late, the XR is very likely on its last major iOS version with iOS 18. There's a chance it might get one more year of major iOS update support with iOS 19, as some rumors have alluded to, but it's tough to say for sure, so I wouldn't bank on it. You can get a good used unlocked XR for around 130 to 160 USD on sites like eBay. I wouldn't recommend buying one used though, as it's pretty much at the end, or at least very near the end of its lifespan for major iOS updates, especially considering you could get a newer iPhone for around the same price, like the iPhone 12 for around $200 USD that has a newer A14 chip with 4 gigs of RAM that'll easily get 1 to 2 more years of major iOS update support. It has an ultra-wide lens, an OLED display, and a newer design. So as much as the XR still holds up quite good in 2025, I wouldn't recommend investing money in buying a new one at this point. The XR, of course, features a Lightning port for charging and data transfer. It wasn't until the last couple generations of the iPhone where Apple finally switched to USB-C. The XR has a 2,942 mAh battery capacity, which provided great battery performance at the time of this phone's launch and for many years after. However, here in 2025, pretty much every iPhone XR has been in usage circulating for several years, which means the condition of the battery in each specific XR will vary quite a bit from device to device, depending on how many charge cycles the device has been put through. And as I always say, if you're going to buy any used iPhone, make sure it has a minimum battery health of around 85%, as any iPhone with a lower battery health than that will have noticeably worse battery performance than it did when it was new. So guys, the iPhone XR is chugging along quite nicely in 2025. As I said earlier though, I wouldn't recommend buying one used right now, as you could get much newer iPhones with more features and longer lifespans for just a little bit more money in the used market. Let me know your thoughts on the iPhone XR in 2025 in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll catch you in the next one.